Hello. In this tutorial, we're going to discuss how to deal with certain problems that might come up during the scoring of an SGP race. We are picking up where we left it with the tutorial on how to score a day. So if you haven't seen this, I suggest you take a look at that first. If you have, you'll notice we're still in practice one, and we've uploaded the files we wanted to upload, and we're satisfied with most of them. But here I've marked one file I want to get back to, and this is Lawrence's file. Now, these are fictional examples of problems we can have because I do not have actual files of these examples, so please bear with me for this. I mean, the first thing I want to show is a situation in which we have a primary file with views to scoring, but there's a penalty or a problem with this file, and although we have a score, we're not satisfied with the score, and we want to examine the secondary logger. So the way to do this is simply we will upload the secondary logger file onto the system, and we've done this, and you will notice that the score hasn't changed at all. And the reason this hasn't happened is that if there is a file that is already there, loading a second file up for the specific pilot is not going to change the score. If we want to examine that file, the way to do it is to go to IGC files, and here you will notice that there are two entries for Lawrence, and they're right next to each other here, but it could potentially be that they're somewhere else in the list. So this is not typical that they're going to sit next to each other. But here you will notice one is listed as primary, and this is the primary logger and is selected for scoring, and the other one is listed as secondary. So if we wanted to take a look at this secondary file without influencing the scoring, what we would do is we would click on View Flight for this corresponding file. And here's this particular flight, and we can examine the flight, and if we are satisfied that we want to change that one for the other one, then what we can do is simply press select here, and that will then replace the existing file in the score with this one. Now in this case I don't want to do this. I just want to press delete and delete this file because the actual file I uploaded was not one belonging to this pilot. I just made it that way for this example. So anyway, incidentally, if you for some reason needed to delete all files uploaded for a particular day, the way to do this is go to the day you want and press delete all, and that would delete all files. We're not going to do this now. So coming back to our scoring, let's create another fictional problem, and let's look at Tilo's flight. Now, Tilo was flying on the SGP final with the new electric motor on Ventus, and a problem with these motors is that the ENL, the engine noise recorded in usual loggers, I mean, you can see it's there, but it's not high enough to be automatically detected. This could potentially happen in some other silent engine installation. Now you notice here this is the ENL traces or any other noise that can appear in the cockpit, and you can see this here. So let's set up a fictional example. This didn't happen in the actual competition, but let's say that, for example, there was an engine lighting that wasn't detected by the algorithm, but let's say we can see it here. I don't notice there's this small spike here where ENL 120. Let's say, we determined that this was an actual lighting of the engine. Now, this was not detected by the scoring algorithm, so we need to manually score this then. And one way to do it we went to the fix we wanted, and let's note the time 14:23:26. So we could go here and say, where are we? Tilo's flight. Go to manual edit and actually do the, the 14 and put in the actual, what was it, 14, 23, 26, 23, 26, and mark this as DNF, did not finish. So this would outland the pilot. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to press cancel actual right now. So I haven't changed anything. A more convenient way to do it would be to basically, instead of scoring everything manually, saying to the scoring algorithm, you know what, there's something you've missed. Let me point this thing for you and let you score the other things. So I'm going to go ahead here. I've selected the fix I'm interested in. So here's the actual point where the glider is. I'm going to say, I'm going to outland you here. So set outland. You notice here we have a manual override, outland, and the specific fix for this. So I've specified this. Now I need to rescore the flight to have this evaluation system pick this up. So I'm finished with doing my settings here. I'm going to press rescore, and here, if we press outlanding, see that the flight was outlanded here. And if we go back to the scoring, let me press refresh because this is not done automatically. We will see that this is reflected in the scoring. So TILO is outlanded, and we have one big advantage to the totally manual scoring. We have the scoring distance automatically calculated for us. So you can go here, you can go to the flight and can move to the fix you want and specify things like release point, the end of soaring flight. So presumably if the engine was lit somewhere or it was finished or something else, you can start time, presumably finish point, the outland as we did. And you can of course reset these, either the free flight limits or the task points to auto. So what we did here, we told the evaluation algorithm, I'm going to specify where the outland is. You figure everything else out automatically. And this is what we did. And now we want to revert back to reset to auto. So basically we take it back and say, okay, do everything automatically again, and then we press rescore. And this is how we're gonna get back the proper score we had, because in fact that was not the case. It was not an outlanding. So let's now look at a further issue that can come up and has come up. I mean, sleepy finger, or you maybe did a mistake in the morning. Let's say that the start altitude was 1200, but you by mistake you said 1500, or maybe you had selected the wrong airspace file, or maybe something, and you've scored all your flights or most of your flights, and you figured, oh, I've done a mistake, and actually my altitude is 1400. And so what you do is you go to the task settings, you do the new altitude, and then you need, it's not going to automatically rescore. What you need to go to do is go to IGC files and press rescore all, and it's going to take a while. It's going to take a few seconds, maybe a minute or two, to score everything. You can keep pressing refresh here until you see everything being okay, and then you need to go back here and press refresh, and you have preliminary scores, and everything's been scored according to the new score. Now, if you had some manual overrides, you will have to do those again. Unfortunately, a rescoring of a flight, we will kill any manual override you've done. But it's not a usual situation. So anyway, let me go back and reset this to the correct thing. Rescore everything. Okay. Incidentally, if you need to actually view the log of the file that hasn't been scored, you press view log, and here's the raw log file. This option is not going to be available once you have scored a flight. There you go to view flight, but you can still see the IGC log from the tab on the actual flight saying view log. You can also download the IGC file by using this button if you need to access it from the server. By the way, here is also some information on the logger type and what it records and what have you, what the flight information is. So this is, some handy information you have as well. So this is basically it. These are the normal problems that come up. If there is some other problem you have, I mean, sometimes you may have there's some corruption on the communication and the things stop working, and the best way to do this is you go and press reload F5, and this can take care of things usually. And you can reload the scoring page as many times as you like. It doesn't really matter. All your information is on the server. So if something not going well, F5 is your friend. So that's about all. These are the common problems that you may come across. If there's a problem that you are dealing with that you feel you don't have the tools to deal with, please come in contact with the support, and we'll try to help you as fast as possible to deal with these problems. Thank you very much for following this tutorial.